Also, Sunday happened to be the busiest day of air travel since the pandemic took hold back in March. Over 1.3 million people passed through TSA checkpoints yesterday. That, by the way, is the highest number since March 16th, when just over 1.25 million people traveled in a single day. Since December 18th, there have been 11 days that over 1 million people passed through those airport checkpoints all across this nation. And with those high numbers of travelers, of course, comes a renewed concern. You've heard about it, the possible spread of the virus as we look forward. New at 5 o'clock, Ken Molestina joining us with the expectations now from local health experts on what we could possibly see. Ken?
You know, Doug, optional travel, of course, it was advised against during the holidays and this past weekend as folks traveled to and from New Year's gatherings. Well, numbers across the country suggest that advice was not followed by many. Today, a local ER doctor says that will undoubtedly lead to a spike in COVID-19 cases in the coming days.
I'm worried that people aren't taking it as serious as they need to.
Dr. Glenn Hardesty is an emergency room physician with Texas Health Plano. Along with other healthcare professionals, he's been on the front lines of the pandemic in North Texas. What he saw these past few days with record numbers of travelers during the pandemic now has him concerned.
I don't think we're on the backside of it yet. I still think we're going to continue to see an uptick. Everything would indicate that we're going to continue to see an uptick.
While travel isn't at the same level pre-COVID, airports across the country and here in our region are reporting holiday travel, and into the new year registered some of the highest numbers during the pandemic. TSA screened more than 1.3 million this past weekend across the country. DFW Airport didn't have figures as of this report, but Love Field said this weekend they had 13,000 passengers each day leaving the airport or transferring, and about another 11,000 arriving each day.
I think the next 14 days will be fairly, or we'll see a continued uptick in the number of cases. We'd like to be optimistic, but we also know the reality of the travel and what we saw over the holidays.
Dr. Hardesty thinks fatigue over COVID restrictions is just part of the reason people are choosing to disregard advice.
So I think people's perspective is based upon the one or two friends they've had that had COVID and recovered, rather than what happens in the larger population where lots of people get really sick.
His advice now, same as it has been before.
We are almost to the end of the race. And since we're almost to the end of the race, if we could just keep wearing our masks, keeping our social distance.
Well, you know, medical experts say the use of masks and social distancing proved to flatten the curve once, which means we can do it again, and we need to do it again. Doug?